you get into a lot of trouble like growing up, or?
I don't know about trouble. So pretty much like, um, anytime that I would get caught for anything, and I love him to death, but shout out Josh, my roommate, like best friends with this kid. The only time I've ever got caught for anything in my life was being with Josh. And that was just because like his mom, Kathy, she would just like kind of feed into it in terms of just trying to figure it out, and that's how my dad was too.
Like
So
trying to prevent you from being bad or
yeah,
whatever,
but by doing that, they would kind of
or
like
like make you want to be.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I would just always be like trying to, I don't know. It wasn't like something where, because he was the first time, he was the kid that I smoked with first. So it was like his mom thought that I was like this horrible influence on him. But it was like kind of flipped around in the sense that like he would, I don't know. I just kind of wanted to be cool around the older kids and whatnot. And then we just, yeah, I mean, we ended up becoming friends. And after, I think like after 8th grade year, we both stopped playing football, and then from there we kind of just like developed a friendship ever since. So
Yeah.
it was super cool because we had to like have each other's backs and just keep grinding and keep doing the things that we were doing, and like with Heart versus Mind and the different I don't know what the word is to throw in there, but the different excursions that we were doing, like the different things that we were trying to do. It was super cool because it was almost like in my eyes when I was 14 or 15, it's like, oh, the parents are against me, everybody's against me, so I'm just trying to like rise above all that,
Make your own path or whatever.
exactly. So the whole like being rebellious, and even to this day, like people can't, and don't get me wrong, like I understand like you can technically, but like I don't listen to people telling me what to do. It's like, oh, if you have to do that, I don't listen to that unless it's something like, obviously you have your standard manners. Like if you're trying to do something right,
limits to everything,
for sure, for sure. Like even with you back in the shop, like when you're telling me what to do on the sewing machine, I'm 100% listening. I'm just trying to get better at it, and I want to absorb that information.
I hate being like this because it's just in my nature, but embroidery machine.
Yeah,
just
embroidery machine.
Sewing machines are like the word for like hem tags and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, dude. I'm just so particular about that stuff. I like corrected Kaylin on something
That's
yesterday, I think she called it paint, and I was like, it's called ink, but I mean,
yeah.
I just feel like it's one of those little things where it's like kind of annoying to correct people about it, but for me, it's like important to like call it the right thing, you know, because you don't want to sound like you don't know what you're talking about, you know.
Yeah, it's the little details, and especially you as like a business owner in terms of the realm of screen printing and embroidery. You just like, you have to know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, and I want the people like I'm involved with to know too.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely,
So.
for sure. Yeah, it's tight. But
so to give the people listening or watching a little backstory, Isaac is a customer of mine who has his own clothing brand, and it's called Heart versus Mind. He's super passionate about it. He and I have been working together for a little while now.
For sure.
And he's started working with me a lot more closely, doing like helping her out around the shop, around the house, just getting work done that otherwise probably wouldn't get done and just get put off. So it's been awesome to have your help.
For sure.
But yeah, and just cool to see your passion for your brand. It's cool to be a part of like helping you create and build that brand.
For sure. And it's super tight for me to be able to like go through the whole process of everything that I'm doing. So it's not like, and don't get me wrong, I do believe that I have such a long way to go, but it's super awesome to be able to, from the very bottom like level of it, be able to be the one ordering the different garments that we're getting, and then be able to work with you on printing the actual garments, but then also try to have to figure out a way to market it, because if we don't market it, then we're completely fucked. But
yeah,
it's been a super fulfilling opportunity to be able to work with you and be able to do things in a different manner, and really pay attention to things and have to be precise about them. But it's been super tight to just like the undercover boss sort of, because I'm not saying like I'm the boss of you, obviously.
Oh, you're the boss of your
of
company.
the company. Yeah. So like it's some other undercover boss, like that realm, just being able to kind of understand each step of the process has been a super helpful thing. So,
yeah. Hopefully it like translates into stuff you do like,
for sure,
you know, for many years to come.
For sure. Absolutely. And like just the fact that you strive to be so precise about anything, like the different measurements, everything that we have to do has to be super precise, or else it's going to end up just
sloppy.
not right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lazy.
So it's been super cool to be able to like use that in terms of making things for you, but then also like let that feed into the different places in my life. And like,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Like, years from now, you could end up like, getting an embroidery machine or like doing your own printing or, like just having the knowledge that you have been like learning from doing it hands on too
for
is
sure.
really good for your brand.
For sure, yeah, absolutely, and not right now, obviously, because I got some, I definitely got some money to save before getting an embroidery machine. But yeah, down the line, it's just gonna be super cool to, because essentially, I want to be able to do everything in house. So like the further we get down the road, and the bigger that Heart vs. Mind gets, and the different traction that we're getting with your company as well. I just think that it would be sick to have an all-in-one warehouse where you're still fulfilling orders for other people to bring in other side money, but also at the same time, like really we're able to really tune into the projects that we're passionate about and the things that we want to do. So it'd be super cool to be able to kind of have that all in one place, from graphic design to printing and fulfillment.
Yeah.
I think it'll be, yeah, just fulfilling is a good word for
Yeah,
that.
definitely. I mean, it's definitely fulfilling to work with you, honestly. Like I've worked with a good like couple handfuls of people, and it's kind of rare for me so far in my experience to come across people to work with that are like actually passionate about this type of work. Like I've worked with a bunch of people that are just trying to like, get paid a little or like, keep busy or whatever, which is fine too. But it's always better to work with somebody who like actually is interested in what the work is.
Yeah, and that's like with that whole thing. That's how, to me, like seeing. And don't get me wrong, I will always say every day is a new beginning. Every day is a new day to restart, refresh, try to get after it, get something more. And I feel like every single day that I do restart, I feel like I'm at a new beginning, because there's always, I don't, and whether it's they say your greatest superpower is your greatest weakness. Like I'll never be fulfilled with any, and that's not to say it in a negative way. Like, yes, you do want to look at your accomplishments and be proud of yourself. But that being said, I'll never be truly like fulfilled with.
Yeah, you want to keep growing and
exactly
building. You're young,
always,
you're hungry. Like
absolutely.
I mean, maybe later in your life, you'll probably
Yeah, for sure.
that might change,
Yeah,
but
sure.
it's good to have that. I think that kind of drive, that hunger.
For sure. And there's like a level of it where it's like everything that I'm doing is, I want to inspire people to create things, and I want to create things that inspire people. So it's, I don't know, you kind of gotta, when you're trying to sign up for that, you got some big shoes to fill in a sense. And it's like, how do I inspire people to do what they really want to do? Like, I believe in trying out different things, and I'd rather be a man of many hats than just specialize in one thing, be the best of the best at one precise thing. I'd rather just know a lot about different things. And it's like, in my shoes, I kind of feel like, how do I help people reach the maximum level of really themselves and find what they're truly passionate about, without them kind of without giving them a false sense of hope. And the only reason I say that is like, because the clothing brand, that to me, it's my life. And I think that oftentimes it's kind of easy to look from the outside and see what somebody's doing and be like, oh, well, if they can do it, then I can do it too. But to me, it's like, how do I help individuals find what they're truly passionate about and then explore that at the fullest degree? But I mean, that's kind of a rhetorical question, I guess, because there's not really an answer. It just
So like with your brand, is that like your kind of like your mission with the brand is to like inspire people to do that? Or
I think I wouldn't necessarily say that that's the mission of the brand, but I think that me as a person, that's my mission, is just to inspire people to reach their fullest potential and get to a place where they're always doing more, seeing more, just believing in more. They have without even jumping into the whole religion, anything like that. Like, I don't want to project myself onto other people.
yeah,
I'm a religious individual, but I don't ever try to like push that upon people. But to me, it's like, regardless of whether or not you believe in the universe or faith or whatever it may be, I think or not faith, the universe or God, whatever it may be, you need to have faith in something. And as an individual, I guess it's pretty much just trying to give people a sense of faith, a sense of hope, just something I want to go down the path that people look at what I'm doing and they're like, wow, that seemed like it was impossible, but then we make that possible for people. And I've never won the lottery, different things like that. Like I don't feel like I've ever been, I feel like I'm lucky to understand my passion, but like not truly like that 777 luck. I've never really had that. But to me, it's like, I think I've never really experienced that because I'm here to give people something to relate to and just give people kind of like a not necessarily a template because I don't want people to copy me at all. Every life is different. Like we're all doing our own thing, but I want people to be able to look at what I'm doing and say, "Oh wow, he made the impossible possible." And like Josh, I don't know whether or not you met him before.
I was just thinking like.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I think I might have knocked it down, but a little quick intermission. Tight. Sick.
Check this camera too, 'cause it
For
cuts
sure.
off every, like,
Yeah, for
30
sure.
minutes.
Damn, I don't even know what the fuck we were just talking about. I'm gonna be honest.
Basically, like just kind of like, which like we were talking about wanting to inspire people.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Like how it's important to have faith and be hopeful about something.
For sure.
Why do you feel like that's important?
Dude, you know why? And just faith as a whole, it's such a beautiful thing. And whether or not you are religious, I truly do believe that at least in my path, religion has given me a good sense of moral grounding, a good sense of roots. And the way that I look at Heart First Mind is just that. I look at it as a tree. And I think that your roots that's your heart. Your heart is your roots. That's your X, your baseline level. That's just everything you as a child growing up, just everything that you're absorbing. But as you go further down the line, your y-axis, that's your mind, and that's where you're able to, if you have strong roots, you have strong moral values, you're able to really truly go out and flourish your different leaves into so many different things. And I think the mind has just an exponential level of like opportunity. Just things can, I don't know. It's kind of, I guess it's kind of difficult to word it right now, but I think
I know what you're saying. I just want to hear your explanation.
For sure.
I'm not gonna jump in, but
absolutely. I think things have, when you talk in that aspect of the mind, things have 1,000,001 different ways to flourish and to turn into, branch out into a beautiful different tree. But with the heart, I believe that you have to have a good moral grounding, a sense of, and your beliefs, my beliefs, I don't want to project, but my beliefs throughout my whole life will change. I think my beliefs are up here. What I believe, that is my mind, that is that. But my morals from my heart, I think that has to stay solid throughout my whole life. And I just think having faith in a bigger picture when times get tough, things seem impossible, just having faith in whether or not you're religious, yourself at least, or the universe, or whether it be God or not, just having faith in a bigger picture, and that it will all work out. Because I mean, frankly, like, at the end of the day, down this whole path that I've gone down, there's been so many times where it feels like everybody's against you, the whole world's against you. Like there's been, not this car that I have now, but there's been times where I was trying to do, and I wasn't trying to be negative or influence people in a bad way, but I was just trying to do so many positive things that it was almost overwhelming. And it literally got to the point where my family was looking at me like I'm against them and I'm just going to do what I want to do and not listen to them. But to me, it's like, I'm just trying to live my life. I'm trying to make good for my life and get things in order. And I feel like I've always kind of heard, ever since I was young growing up, like, oh, he's got an old soul. Or whenever you're out with your parents, oh, you guys have done such a great job raising them right. But then back in high school, it kind of felt like I was at this place where my parents didn't necessarily see like how much I was trying to achieve or what I was trying to do. And at least maybe they did see it, but it just, back then it didn't feel like that they were at least understanding of it. So just to wrap it all back together and tie it together, I just think that For me, I was in a place where I was literally standing in the front yard of my friend's house after I had packed up all my shit in a U-Haul, just completely left, booked it, just leaving. I didn't know what the fuck to do. And to me, I'm just standing in my buddy's front yard. And that was the point in my life where I was like, wow, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, it feels like everybody's against me. And my mom, bless her soul, loved that woman to death. It felt like to the point where it was like she was even against me. So I felt like just the whole, and don't get me wrong, there were a lot of things that I did wrong back then, but this is just how I'm feeling. So with that energy, like, I kind of stuck around Bellbrook for like 2 weeks and whatnot, but I kind of just like, well, I don't know, I feel like I was hanging out with the wrong crowd in terms of like I don't want to speak upon other people, but I just feel like I have a lot that I want to achieve. So you have to have like the Kevin level of drive to get after what you're passionate about, or else you're not gonna
shout out.
become successful. And then after that, it was like I understood what I didn't necessarily want to become for myself. And then I took everything, moved down to Cincinnati, slept on my friend's couch for 3 months, worked for UPS. I was trying to get a loan for a house. Like, it was just some crazy shit. But the reason I even bring all that up is because during this time I had went and I tried out this new church for the first time. And to me at that time, my perception of church was you have to obey every single one of God's rules. You have to do this, that, and the next. And it's just like, damn, I got to become a whole different person. So I didn't fuck with it at all. But then I went to this church and they were accepting of me as I was. And the biggest thing that I really obtained was you don't have to act a certain way. You don't have to be a certain person. You don't have to fill a certain pair of shoes. You come as you are and Jesus will love you how you are. So that church experience, like, shifting my outlook to that completely changed my life and just opened my mind, which is why I will forever say I think that it's such a beneficial thing to have faith in something. Because at first I was by myself. I was standing in that front yard by myself. The whole world was against me. But now that I have faith in a bigger picture, at least, personally, I have faith in God, but regardless, a bigger picture, having faith in that, it just gives you something to believe in. And I just think it's such a beneficial thing to be able to have. And I don't mean to say all this or get into it in order to project or say, oh, you got to be Christian. You got to be like, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen after I die.
Yeah, no.
But I'm open-minded to whatever.
Yeah.
If it's an elephant up there, if it's Buddha up there, I don't like what, and if it's nothing.
Something we can't even comprehend or whatever, yeah.
Exactly. And like, that's kind of because back then I used to have this, it would be and like I said, my parents and my whole family, they were really oriented in going to college, go get a degree, go work whatever job, whatever it may be, just get your degree, go to college, go to school. And back then I wasn't trying to go to college. I didn't even want to be in high school at that point. Mm-hmm. But it just kind of like, damn it. I kind of forget what I was about to say, but
you're good.
Yeah, it was just it was just kind of to this place where every single yeah.
You want me to fix it again?
Yeah, for real. Good. I like completely blanked out. I had a good little thought to say, but
it's a nice story.
You know, that's how it goes sometimes. But yeah, they just like, I don't know. It was like feeling the pressures of trying to have to go to college, do all these different things, but yeah, you're all good. We'll just have to cut that last 45 seconds. You can just have to ask another question. I'll dive back into something, but I don't know where that trend was going.
So did that all happen like pretty recently, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, as far as like you're talking about standing outside, like leaving with your bags
well,
and stuff?
About like 6-7 months ago.
Recent.
Pretty recently in the big scheme of things. And that's what I was gonna say is like back in high school, I kind of just got to the point where I wasn't trying to go to school, I wasn't trying to go home, and after I went home, I was just trying to literally figure out whatever the fuck I could do to get hot, whatever it might be, just to be out of my own shoes. So it kind of just dove into this path of like taking drugs all the time. And it's just a vulnerable moment, I guess, because I never really shared it with the world.
I think I'm glad that you if you feel comfortable to talk about
For
it.
sure,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
And that's the thing is like no matter what, it doesn't matter whether or not I'm embarrassed because of it because that's my truth and I
Yeah,
think that
exactly.
other kids could relate to it potentially,
For
so
sure.
might as well
It's
bring it
good to
up.
be real about stuff, you know? So I
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
So back then I wasn't like I said, I wasn't trying to go to college. I was trying to kind of follow my own path. Ever since I was 13, I was selling like Yeezys, different shoes, different clothes, memorabilia at different shoe conventions, just trying to make my money my own way. And what it kind of came to was and back then I used to fight with my dad all the time because he just wanted me to live my life to my fullest potential. He didn't care if I was getting C's, if that was what I was capable of. So, but to me, I saw that as like irrational back then. We were just always fighting all the time. So it kind of just got to the point where I didn't want to go to school, didn't want to go home. So then what did I do? Every single day after school was diving into different activities, different drugs, just bad things all around. And whether or not it correlates directly to that, like ever since I was 14, I was doing some fucked up shit. Like that's and not anything where I was harming anybody else, but like taking different kinds of drugs myself and doing different things that were negative in just to me personally. But that being said, the only reason that I brought that whole thing up is because I'll never tell people not to and everybody can have their own opinion about it, but I'll never tell people what to do and what not to do, what drugs to try, what drugs not to try, because I think that out of all of that negativity, I learned so fucking much, dude. And like just so much about myself, so much about the world. And really the most important piece of information that I learned was I just don't know anything. Like when you're tripping on some shrooms or something, you're looking at a wall and then it turns into 40 different 40 different things. And it's like, why just that kind of brought in this sensory overload of dude, you really like you're never gonna understand life at all. Maybe you will after you die. I don't know. But I'm never gonna understand life at all or anything or why anybody does anything.
I mean, I think people have like there's like levels to understanding where
For
like you
sure.
can understand and like you can comprehend certain things but you can't other things, and like you can have your own understanding of like what you think life is about.
For sure,
I think
absolutely.
it's probably important to have like some sort of meaning, or I feel like the understanding is like hand in hand with like the meaning you attach to
For
life.
sure.
But yeah, I know what you're saying though, because at the same time like there's definitely a lot more to life that like people just can't ever really fathom probably.
Absolutely. And it's like that kind of just ties into the whole beliefs versus morals thing. Is like, I don't know what the fuck I'm ever going to believe because it's constantly changing every day. If you do I don't know, whatever you want to call it, something super stupid. If I'm standing here right now, you don't think that I can do a backflip, then I do a backflip. Well, then your belief on whether or not I can do a backflip changed. But that doesn't affect your morals at all. That doesn't affect your belief. Well, it does affect your beliefs, but it doesn't affect your morals, your roots. So I think that kind of all ties in together with like,
Yeah, like your morals just need to be like strong, and then
for sure.
your belief, your mind is like kind
It's
of
always evolving. It's always
Yeah.
changing. Life
your
is always
perception's always going to change based on
exactly.
your life experiences. I mean, like if you just take COVID for example, like
Mm-hmm.
nobody saw that coming, and like everybody's lives changed
For
from
real.
that, like in a huge way. And yeah, I feel like life's like pretty fragile in a lot of
Exactly.
ways.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I'm really grateful because like I'll be honest and open about the different things like my relationship with my parents in high school, but honest to God, like I am so grateful for that because even though back then I saw it as irrational, my dad was just trying to help me out. He was just trying to teach me different things and get me to like this new level as a person. So now it's like you have those typical moments where you're just walking around your house trying to think of what to do in a different situation or whatever, but then you just hearing your dad's voice in your head like, oh, this is what, and I'm like, damn, man, you were right about so many things, but I just kind of wish we could have connected in a better way in high school, which is why like I also think that it's never your heart and your mind is never going to be a 50-50 balance at all, because it's like I was thinking about it today and it's like if he would have in a loving way, like a super loving way, just thinking about my heart, the things whatever it might have been, my passions, if he would have like educated me in a really loving way, I probably would have been way more receptive to it. But the problem that I experienced was it's like, this is logic, what's logical to do, but then
Yeah.
you kind of shut out like
the passion
whole,
stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be common for like young guys that age with their dads, because I like you describing that sounds really similar to what like I experienced with my dad when I was going through high school, where we like fought all the time. Or I shouldn't say all the time, because it's not even that black and white, but like we had a lot of disagreements that got like really heated sometimes and stuff like that. And like, you know, I wanted to always like pursue my passions, but he was always trying to like, you know, help me think logically about it. Because it's like, if you just, I feel like young people in general, like at that age range, like high school age, I guess, it's like really easy to like have a sort of like, I want to say like maybe delusional or like disillusioned perception of like, I'm just going to do what I want and what I'm passionate about, and like it'll all work out. And it's like the parents' job to like teach their kids like, well, there's like, you know, more to life than just like, oh, it's just going to work out for you if you just do what you want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be nice if that was how life always worked, but
it's like, how do you, as a parent, and that's why I completely feel for them. And I don't understand because I'm not a parent yet, but I empathize with them, is because like, as a parent, how do you teach your kid what is within the realm of possibility without limiting them? Because you always hear, well, if you're a kid, you want to be an astronaut? Okay, well then spend your whole life being, how do you teach your kid about like about themselves, about the different barriers, about the fencing in, but also inspire them to understand that whatever you want to do is within your potential.
Yeah. So there's like certain limitations like based on your inherent abilities.
Yeah. And it's like, how do you put that across to it? Because it's like, I don't know what the exact quote is like, but it's something along the lines of advice when it's not solicited. People just get pissed off at that. So it's like, as a parent, how do I inspire my kids to want to do more, be more, see more, but also at the same time, like teach them about the confines of life and the different things that are limiting them, because it's life, dude. And that's what people say, thinking realistically. When you're thinking realistically, you're just thinking about all of the outside factors and what could be going against you. You're just trying to pop that balloon any way possible. And it's like, as a parent, that's why I empathize with them, is like, how do I, as my dad, how do I say, hey, Isaac, you can go do whatever the fuck you want to do. Like, just be the best of your ability. But at the same time, also teach me like, yo, that right there, what you're saying right now, that's impossible. Like, that's
or like
crazy.
Or
delusional.
Or like it could happen for you, but like there's a lot of like work that goes into it, so it's not like it's just gonna happen for you.
Exactly.
You know, like I think that's probably just a part of the process of like growing up and like learning about yourself and like your parents. Like as you start to grow up, you develop your own unique personality and interests and skills, and then so it's just like an ever developing process of like, who am I, or as a parent, like who is this kid, and like how can I help them like develop and like go after their goals, but like also remind them of like the real life limitations or like obstacles that they're gonna have to try to overcome. And then it's like a matter of like, as the kid or like the individual, pursuing what they want to do and like being aware of the things that are like pulling against them, but like overcoming that if they're able to put their mind to it and actually like achieve that.
And that's the thing, is like, you have the different people who tell you, oh no, you can't do that. So then you can either use that energy as fucking, oh, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, or you can just, oh well, I can't do that.
Yeah. And there's really no right or wrong either. Like sometimes it's like, you know, you have to be like, oh, I can't do that. And then you find something else you can do that maybe is like really your true calling. And other times it's you know, the opposite.
For sure. And that was like, not like identically related, but Josh and I were talking about it last night, and I was just in this headspace, whatever you want to call it, where I was like, dude, it really just feels like no matter what I do, I'm always fucking confused. If you're looking they say hindsight is 20/20. But if you're looking in the future, everything's unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. And God forbid, but this ceiling could crash down right now. On top of me, I could be done. I never know whether or not that's going to happen.
Unlikely.
Yeah. But that being said, like, you never know what's going to happen. So I was talking to him about that, and I was like, I feel like life, at least for myself, it just feels like this constant cycle of truly not knowing and being confused, or
Yeah, you gotta like embrace the unknown.
yeah, and then try to in that like embracing it makes it a lot, well, I don't know, I would say a lot easier if you just embrace the fact that you don't know what you don't know or whatever. But it's just like, how do you put all of these things together that don't make sense and try to make sense out of them? That was like our big conversation of yesterday, which I kind of feel like ties into that, because like as a kid, everything's confusing. You don't know shit. Like, and I still don't know shit, but I'm trying to put it together and piece it together.
I mean, dude, that's everybody. Like, I feel like no matter how old you are, how much life experience you've had, like everybody to some extent like doesn't know shit.
For
like
sure.
you're gonna learn things throughout the way, but like you're never really gonna fully get it. Like,
Absolutely.
it's just part of the human condition.
For
to, like,
sure.
Not know.
Fully just not, yeah. And that's like, well, I was talking to my grandpa and a few months ago, but regardless, I was talking to them and I was like, I have a hard time with giving people that quote unquote respect. Like I'll get general manners. My parents taught me, have your general manners, you get your ass beat. So I got
They said what?
I have my general manners or else I'd get the belt when I was a kid.
Okay.
So I'm generally nice with people. I'll try to be understanding. But that being said, I'm not going to give you respect just based off of your age or your position, because I think there's dickheads in every group.
Yeah.
So my grandpa and I were having a conversation about that, and he was kind of just asking why I felt like that. And my answer was, my cousin Oliver, he's like 2 or 3 years old. That kid is way better than me at imagining things, at creating things, because he's a kid. The limits are endless.
Yeah.
So he equally has something to teach me as my grandpa does.
Mm-hmm. Or like reteach you in a way.
Exactly.
It's like you were a kid once too, but
For
like
sure.
as you grow up, you sort of like lose that way of thinking or whatever.
Because everything gets a lot more logical.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I got to pay my bills. I got to pay my rent and everything. But it's the limiting factors are way less when you're a kid, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got no responsibility.
For
really.
real.
Or at least, up to a certain point.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, I think it's important too to try to like not lose that like childlike wonder.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get lost in like, oh, I just want to cling to that. But as you grow up, it's just a matter of like, and I mean, I'm still learning this too, so I don't want to be like too know it all about it or whatever. But like, yeah, I mean, it's like, you got to learn how to balance like
For real.
being imaginative and creative and like exploring life, but also like being real about like your responsibilities in life and as like a human being.
And it's all about that. I love that word that you said, balance. Everything is all about balance. And the reason I'll tie it back to my brand. Everything that I'm doing is I look at the heart and the mind, like that heart versus mind battle. I look at that as, okay, I'm Kevin. I'm trying to climb a mountain. If I just run into the fucking forest and I just try to run up the mountain, Mount Everest, whatever it might be, I'm gonna fucking die, dude. Like, if you're just walking into the forest and just walking up there, like, it's not, like, it's
not gonna work.
Exactly. But if you tie in I'm passionate, I want to get to the top of this mountain. Maybe you don't even know why the fuck you want to get to the top of the mountain. But if you tie in your mind with that and figure out, whether it be logic, whatever else you want to call it, figure out a good way to go about it.
Like, how do I train to do
Prepare,
this? Condition myself, learn how to eat and camp and like do all the necessary steps to get there. Even though it's like there's no real like necessarily reason to get there. It's
For real.
I just want to like accomplish that.
Yeah, you just want to. And that's the whole beautiful thing about balance is like, I don't know if it was Carter or whoever I was talking to, but the other day I was thinking about it and I was like, dude, everybody says love is the most high. Love is the best. Love is the top of the top. Like, if you spread love, you're abundantly, you're going to be amazing throughout your whole life. But to me, it's like, dude, you can't spread love without having a balance between your heart and your mind, because what's going to happen is all too often people feel like they're giving way more of themselves than they should be. And it's that it kind of falls back to that thing of like I'll let people eat at my table and whatever it might be, but after a few times you got to be bringing some rolls, some napkins, something. Like, you got to be bringing the bare minimum at least. So I think people all too often are like, oh, I just got to love. But what happens when you just repetitively keep getting shit on. So I think that no matter what it is, it just kind of has to come out of a balance. And that's why like my piece of advice is lead with your heart, be open, loving, your general manners, be nice to people, but let your mind follow. If these people are treating you like a fucking dickhead, leave the room. You don't gotta fight them, but
or like
just
end the
leave.
relationship or
Exactly.
whatever's like healthy. Yeah.
Just don't feed yourself into that. And I think all too often people try to have this like one or the other. Oh, I want to be the smartest person in the world, but it doesn't matter what I say or do to anybody. Like, dude, nobody's gonna listen to you if you're a dickhead.
Yeah.
You might be the smartest person in the world. Good for you. Whatever. You're gonna die. You can unhappy, alone, whatever you want to call it. Or you could be the most loving individual in the world, which I know a lot of people who are like that too. Beautiful for them, but most loving person in the world, but they're not necessarily the brightest or somebody that I'm like, oh, I'll listen to them. But like, I wouldn't ask them for a life decision. It's like you're kind of yes men. You're, oh yeah, that's good. I want to support you. Yeah, you're doing good. But to me, as like a business owner, it's like I need to have a level of this person loves me, so they're gonna tell me what is the best option in their eyes, but at the same time they love me enough to tell me the truth and tie their mind into it and try to poke the holes into it.
Yeah, it's like a parent's responsibility right there.
For real.
So bringing it back to what we were talking about with your dad, it's like I'm sure he like would love to just probably just encourage like, you know, all the crazy like childlike dreams and stuff, but I feel like that's probably one of the hard things as a parent to do, because you kind of have to like be the bad guy in a way to like in the child's eyes is like by almost like in a way it's I guess almost like discouraging like that kind of passion and or at least that's how it can feel. I mean, thinking back to when I was a kid, like sometimes I felt like my dad was just discouraging what I wanted to do with my life, whether it was to like pursue music or you know, not go to college and like figure things out, which I did end up going to college, but like I didn't want to go either. I was just like, I literally only went because I thought he was gonna like disown me if I didn't go, so I was like, I'll just go. But like, I'm glad I went. But yeah, I feel like that's part of the hard parts about being like just trying to, if you try to put yourself in like a parent's shoes, you know, like that's probably one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah, and it's like, how do you inspire your kids to go be whatever the fuck they want to be, but at the same time, like, let them understand that they have limits. Everybody has limits, and it's like, I understand the people who, the world is endless possibilities, you can do it, but it's like, dude, I can't go into space right now and take off a fucking spacesuit without dying.
Yeah,
that's just a fact. I've never tried it. I'm not going to. But the NASA, all of them,
bad idea.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you gotta understand your limits and the fact that we're only human, man.
Yeah, and like just also like the natural progression of accomplishing anything like of substance, you know, like I mean, yeah, you can accomplish like little things easily that aren't really that rewarding, but like all the big goals that people have take like years of like working towards accomplishing that with like little victories along the way and small accomplishments. But like if you're trying to accomplish like an actually big goal that like you have to earn, it's like, you know, if you take the metaphor of like working out, if you want to be like a bodybuilder and bench press like 400 pounds, like you can't just go to the gym and bench press 400 pounds. Like you gotta spend years like building muscle and like eating right and exercising like consistently and you know, like slowly increasing the weight till you're like strong enough to do that. But it's like that with anything, you know, like whether you're trying to like start a clothing brand or a screen printing business or do whatever you want to do in life, it's like you just incrementally put the work in consistently and be determined about it, and eventually you'll get there. But you have to actually earn it, you know.
Exactly,
like,
for sure.
It's not going to just fall into your lap or anybody. It's like you got to really put the time in.
Absolutely. And it's like with that in terms of the I guess the eyes of the parent, it's like with everything that I'm trying to do, like I said, I want to create to inspire people, and I want to inspire people to create things. But that being said, it's like, how do I inspire people to do what they want to do, live their passion and whatnot? But it's like, okay, so I guess it's gonna be a little bit difficult to word it, but to me, it's, and I don't want to be like petty about anything, but it's like everybody, if they look from the outside, everybody can start a clothing brand. Everybody could do whatever. And like, to me on the outside, I could look at you and be like, oh, well, I could do screen printing. I can do that. But you're truly passionate about it. that's your passion, it's your lifestyle, it's your livelihood. So you're obviously going to excel above and beyond because that is what you're, that's everything to you. And I say that lightly, but
it's not, I wouldn't say it's everything, but I
not
totally
everything,
get what
but
you're saying though. Like, yeah,
yeah,
I've dedicated like a lot of my life to it, and I was super, and still am super passionate about it. But
for sure.
yeah, I have like, you know, other passions, but I wouldn't be where I am today with my printing business if I wasn't passionate about it, and I wasn't passionate about like clothing and like when I started, I wanted to start a clothing brand. So like, you know, I mean, that was why I got good at screen printing in the first place, was because like I wanted to figure out how to kind of do like what I'm doing with you, you know, like develop a brand where like there's a bunch of different designs made, and you have different drops, and like progressing along the way and getting, you know, like little details added as you go, like the hem tags or the hang tags or whatever. But yeah, and just like honing in on that, because I just wanted to be able to do it like myself and not like find a company to send it to. And like it's funny because initially when I got into it, like I just wanted to push my own brand, and I was like trying to make it on YouTube with music and other things I was doing, and I was like thinking about my bottom line, like if I print my own stuff, my, you know, it's 100% profit. That was like what I was thinking at the time. And it's just funny like how life kind of takes you in like weird directions, you know. But I mean, who knows, I may still start a brand in the future, or like, you know, if YouTube pops off or whatever, and then like put out something for that. But at this point in my life, it's like I've been doing it for over 5 years, and now I like have all this equipment and all these customers and this knowledge and experience. And sorry if that got a little off track.
No, you're good. I was just, I gotta peek. I'm like a little kid, but yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with that. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, it's not that your whole livelihood, everything that you're doing revolves around screen printing, but you couldn't have gone as far as you have screen printing without having a true passion about that. And to me, it's like, I do want to inspire, if you're living out your true path, your passion, whatever it may be, I want to inspire you. I want to help people. I want to help people create the lives for themselves that they really truly want to create. But with that, and the whole, bring it back to like I want to be a man of many hats thing. I feel like a lot of people look at the different things that we're doing and they're like, oh, well, if he can start a clothing brand, I can start a clothing brand. But it's like, are you truly passionate about that? And I guess that's, I mean, at the end of the day, that's kind of what sets everybody apart. And the whole thing with the parents is like, I guess at the end of the day, you just have to have a certain level of exception for the fact that they're just going to do what they're going to do. And if that's the truth path for them, then they'll figure out a way to make it work.
Like if they fail, then that it wasn't meant to be. And if they succeed, then like they earned it.
For sure. Yeah. And that's like with everything that I've been doing, I've definitely failed at many things, but I've learned to not look at my goals on a time scale or a time chart at all, because what happens is the universe may not give you what you want today, but you're gonna learn way fucking more than you would have if I was back when I was 13, 14, 15, like diving into the clothes thing, I wanted to be an overnight success. Oh, heart versus mind is gonna change so many lives. Don't get me wrong, I know that it is, but I wanted to just have everything. But taking me through that whole, like you were saying, that whole just path of endless possibility, really, and good, bad, or indifferent, just endless possibility, I've learned so fucking much.
Like you learn about yourself as you go, and like your interests are going to change as you age, you know, like everybody changes. If you don't, then you're not growing as a person. So like you're always going to go through like evolutions, if you want to call it that, and your interests are going to develop, and you know your perspective will change. So like what you used to want for your brand might not be the same thing you actually want now, or like as it was then, or 5 years from now. So
and that's that whole, what you just said there, super fucking beautiful thing that I would say ties into the whole beliefs versus morals thing. Because if you're accepting the life of evolution, life is constantly changing. You're evolving always. Your beliefs are going to constantly have to change. And a lot of people, I think they get tied up in their beliefs so much that they just refuse to change. And like, I don't want to speak on like you guys can believe in whatever the fuck you guys want to believe in, but I think that a two-party system is fucking stupid.
Oh
I think
shit.
Democrats and
Getting political.
Republicans fucking stupid. Love all my family members, love everybody else in the world, but I think that whole like belief system that there has to be one side that's right, fucking stupid.
No, you know what? I actually agree with that though. I think I've said that since I was a little kid, and that's one thing that I still believe. Like, I agree. I think a two-party system, or at least our two-party system, is
Yeah, it's
terrible.
fucked.
I mean, I understand like how they sort of balance each other out in a way, because it's like they're so polarized that like if you don't fit in here, that like, you know, like somebody finds like somewhere that they can agree with it, but yeah, I just feel like it's like, as a whole country we're supposed to be a team, so it's weird that we have like political parties that are like
Exactly.
warring factions almost, or like shouldn't say that because that sounds kind of extreme, but just like team fighting, you know.
Exactly. It's like how are you gonna handle different things on outside soil when you can't even agree on anything yourselves? And like we were talking about it yesterday or 2 days ago, but it's like I feel like because we got into that whole conversation of voting or not voting. To me, I think that, and people have all their beliefs that they want, whatever it may be. Cool. Believe in Biden or Trump, whatever you want. I think that Trump doesn't have a fucking good moral standing at all. And I think that Biden is fucking dumb. I'm sorry, but I just think that he kind of like he's not there fully aware.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, I would want a president who has a good moral ground, but also they can hold a conversation with you without saying some stupid shit. So I feel like it's kind of like the people who are like, oh, you got to go vote, that's your civic duty, are also the same people who will be like, well, if you don't vote for Biden or Trump, then you're just wasting your vote. And it's like, then you just put me in a spot where I have to vote for one of the two. And I think it's bad versus worse. I'm not going to get into who I think is bad.
It sucks to be like, to feel like you have to like pick sides.
Exactly.
And that you have to like join the club, you know. Like, and then if you don't feel, if you don't like subscribe to the same thought as like the party,
Yeah.
or the club, or the whatever cult, if you want to call it that, you know, like whatever, it's just, then they like disown you, you know what I mean?
For real.
And obviously there's gray areas too, because it's not like everybody on each side is that extreme about it.
Yeah.
I think the like, at least in today's age, it seems like the loudest voices are the most extreme ones. Like all the social media pundits and like, you know, mainstream media too, like everybody who is just cranking out political stuff like every day, like those are the people who are like the most extreme politically leaning people.
Yeah.
So like I feel like there's probably more people, and I could be wrong, but I feel like there's probably more people than it seems like who are like somewhere in between on both sides of things. But it's just easy for people to get caught up in the whole like right versus left, Trump versus Biden, or, you know, whoever's running for office. It's kind of always like that. I just feel like now is way more like heightened than it's ever been before, because social media wasn't like it was, you know, not that long ago.
Yeah.
So everything's just way crazier now, because everything's so much more connected, and everybody can like argue on Twitter and YouTube and everything.
And people just feed off that too. It's like, as a business, regardless of the business, as a fucking person, how do I influence people to feed off of positivity rather than negativity? Because right now it's looking at Snapchat, whatever it may be, whatever everybody's form of media is. If you're looking at anything, you're not going to go through that forum, whether it be CNN, whatever media outlet it might be, you're not going to go through that without seeing a bunch of just horrible, nasty shit. And I feel like a lot of that kind of just has to do with the fact that people, but I think that people feed off of negativity right now more than they do positivity.
Dude, yeah, it's definitely more of a I was going for 37 minutes longer than you. Yeah, I mean, there's been studies that like negative like headlines and negative content drives more attention than positive stuff. So it's all over the place, because it gets the companies, it's like their bottom line, that's their business model. It's like views and consumption. So
they're just trying to give people the thing that they're going to eat up the most.
Yep.
And I think a lot of that kind of has to do with, like, with Corona and everything. For me personally, I thought at first it was going to be a really difficult time. I wasn't really going to, like, at first, like, 2019, horrible fucking year anyways. Then I thought, oh, well, Corona, now I'm going to just be stuck by myself. But it gave me the time to be able to self-reflect and understand myself truly, to where now my, like, perspective on life is that people who are truly happy and content with themselves, and right or wrong is not a thing, because that's all based off of personal perspective. You could look at me and be like, oh, you're doing all the things wrong, but I feel like I'm doing them right. It's all personal perspective. But I truly do feel like people who are content with themselves, happy where they're at or where they're going, way fucking less likely to want to hear all the negative shit all the time. Just get fed up with the people who get fed up with the news cycle. Because right now it's
just like brainwashing propaganda,
and everybody goes so fast. Everybody's trying to feed one thing after the next.
Yeah, a lot of like non-factual information or like assumptions and jumping to conclusions and not really like in-depth reporting where they're like actually getting to the bottom of things. It's just like, what's the next headline? How can we drive the most views and attention and like stir the pot? And
exactly.
Like it's honestly terrible for the country. Like what the media does, like it's so divisive. Like it's so bad for society.
And I believe in stirring the pot. I'm a fucking pot stirrer myself. I am, dude. I like to, because I like to hear both perspectives. I like to, like, back in public speaking class, we would do different debates, and I would just like eat up one team, just dive super deep on whatever they were arguing.
Just and playing then, like devil's advocate.
Basically. Yeah, and then the other team would be like, "Oh yeah, they agree," and then I would just dive into that team. So it's like it's healthy to explore both sides and to want to see like a deeper meaning and deeper understanding, and to challenge and to question different things. But that being said, I think that right now, just where we're at, it's too much. It's way too much. Well, so like, nobody knows what to believe.
The whole problem right there is just like there's people who are so certain about what they believe in that they're like closed-minded to like the fact that they might be wrong or that there's more possibilities than what they're certain of. And then at the same time, they're like constantly trying to like assert that the other people are completely wrong. So it's like, and then both sides just do the same exact thing.
And it's like the whole, like, they try to act like laissez-faire, whatever you want to call it, like real hands off. Oh, I don't care. I'm impartial. But then like secretly they have this kind of hidden like agenda, at least. And I dealt with that the other day. Like the reason I brought up the whole stirring the pot thing is,
what did you? Nah, I gotta hold on. We can't just gloss over that. What did you deal with?
Yeah. So the whole, what did I deal with?
You said you dealt with that the other day.
Yeah, the whole stirring the pot thing. My buddies, like, one of them is a pot stirrer himself, so he's really like impartial in terms of like politics and whatever it may be. But then the other buddy was like acting like he was impartial, but he wasn't impartial at all. So it just kind of dove into this like back and forth. But to me, I'm a pot stirrer, so I just want to explore it there, like both sides. But then it became an unhealthy thing where it wasn't like I was instigating or being negative towards any of them, but I would question it so much, I guess, that they dove into the rabbit hole of like, you truly saw like the back and forth of how people, or at least them, they weren't necessarily that impartial as they said that they were.
So do you feel like they realized, did they think they were impartial but they weren't, and they
I don't know if they realized, but I mean, who am I to
feel like most people don't.
And that's the thing too, is like, and
at the same time, I guess it's like there's not really anything wrong. Like people are always going to be like, there's probably going to be a good amount of people that are always pretty partial.
Yeah, for sure. And it's the morals, dude.
Yeah. Like, and then that's the whole point of like having the sides of everything, is so that like everybody can like argue someone else's point. But yeah, I wish politics weren't so messy, because it's
for real. And it's like people who, if you're way too impartial, then people think that you have no backbone. And then they just don't want to listen to you, because it's like, oh, he doesn't believe in anything. People would rather, in like the whole people would rather. I feel like right now with the whole Dave Chappelle. I don't know if you know like directly what his whole thing was, but he got in trouble with the whole Twitter culture of canceling people. He got in trouble with them, and then he went on his apology tour where he went around and basically just said, "Fuck you, I don't care about what you think. I'm gonna say what I want to say anyways." But I think that, and he blew up. Like, don't get me wrong, he was already big before that, but that's when I first started
It was
hearing.
good for him, yeah.
Yeah, that's when I first started hearing about him, because I think with all
Had you
of
not
this,
heard
like,
about him before that?
yeah, no, I didn't, but I wasn't like aware.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
not
well,
the
he's
best
not really
person.
like, he was popular like when I was a kid.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, and then he kind of
The
fell off
Chappelle
the face
Show.
of the earth.
For like 12 years, dude. He was just like gone.
He was offered like I think it was like $100 million, or it might have even been like 300 million. It was crazy, like huge amount of money I think for Comedy Central or somebody.
to renew the Chappelle. And he
Yeah,
was like,
but
nah, I'm not doing it.
He didn't want to give up like his creative freedom, which I think is awesome for like the integrity. But it's funny because I've seen him talk about it since then, and how like he's like, I should have just
just take it,
because he's like, now I need the money. So
exactly, yeah, and that's I think that right now, at least in the times that we're in, people will respect the fuck out of that way more. Like, even if you have to hurt one side, and that's the other thing too, is because motherfuckers take that way too far. And like, I don't want to get into everything that's going on right now, because the world in a lot of people's eyes is really fucked. But I do personally believe that every single kingdom needs its law and order. But that being said, you give a motherfucker too much power, dude, it just ends up negative. And that's what we're witnessing right now, is just there's a group of individuals who have a lot of power, and there's going to be dickheads in every group. And you start to abuse that power. So it's like, yeah, while we do respect you for having your own opinion and having your own viewpoint, you can't just be fucking shitting on everybody, just being like...
Yeah, man, it's hard to talk about politics and stuff like that. Like I've been like reluctant to bring it up like during podcasts and stuff, because it's just like people are so opinionated about it, and I don't want to get caught up in like taking sides with anything. And then also like I don't want to get labeled as like I'm stuck in this box, when like I know, like I just hate the feeling of like being stuck in a box.
somewhere.
So, like this is who I am, and it's like, no, like you can't define me, because, and that's the other thing too, like I feel like people by nature, like we were just talking about, they change as they get older. Like as time goes on, like your perspectives will change. You'll learn like, oh, maybe I was ignorant about this, or maybe I was wrong about that. And then like, you know, before social media, like it was so much easier for people to change. I think, because nowadays, at least if you have like a following, especially like in the limelight, like you're famous, it's so much harder to change, because people hold you to like something you said years ago, or even if you said it recently, like regardless, it's just people are like, oh, well, this person said this at one point in time, so that means that they're just always like that type of person, or like whatever. And then it's like, I mean, I guess that still wouldn't prevent a person from like moving past that, because you just like, at the end of the day, like it's just noise, you know, like social media really it shouldn't matter that much to a person,
but it does.
But it definitely does. And so I think it's like, if you are one of those people, you probably just gotta like tell yourself like, I don't even know who these people are, but you are still like, you have to be like held accountable and responsible for stuff people call you out about, to an extent too. So it's a weird, again, it's like the balance of just like being responsible for yourself, but also like not getting like labeled and stuck in a box.
One group. Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole, like, I'll fucking admit, any single day of the week, I don't know. I don't literally, like, I have my different beliefs, but I don't know anything, dude. Like, and I'm not calling myself stupid. I think that I'm a relatively intelligent individual, but I just don't. Everything is unknown. The greatest question of life is death, and we don't know about that. So we assume that we know all these other things, but it's like truly everything has an endless outcome. And I feel like the only reason I'm bringing that up is because, like, I feel like people try so hard to have an understanding of something that they almost get lost, like, within that.
Yeah, it's like when someone is like overly certain about something, they just think they're like 100%, like, I know for sure. Like, I used to get mad at my dad about that, like, speaking of like high school and problems with your dad. I used to get really frustrated with him, because he was really religious, and like I grew up like going to Catholic school, and like I had to go to church with them every week and stuff like that. And like at a certain point in my life, like I didn't want to go to church and I didn't want to do any of that stuff. And I was like kind of fighting back against like the structure that they were forcing on me and like the like religious beliefs and things like that. And he was just like so sure of like, you know, like I know that God is real and stuff. And I'm not trying to say that like God is not real or anything like that. It's just that his certainty, like at that point in my life, made me want to test him. You know, I was like, oh, you're so certain, but like I know for a fact that you don't know. You know, and so he would try to convince himself or me that he knew it. Sometimes I feel bad in a way, like I'll think back on it and I'll be like, man, I was like discouraging, you know, like his religious beliefs. But I didn't really know it, like I didn't think of it that way, or maybe I did, but it was just like part of like the process of like being a kid and just like testing like belief systems and like what is like an absolute truth and what like is capable of being like absolutely known by a human, you know? And so, yeah, we would just go at it though about that kind of stuff, and it would lead to big fights, and, you know, he was just
so you're like, exploring the realm of possibility. But as a parent, you got to make sure your kid's like not exploring too far, or else they'll fucking go out into the woods and get lost.
Yeah, jump off the deep end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but I think with that, then like on the other contrary, my dad was in a place where he was like trying so hard not to let me jump off the deep end that I was on such like a small leash. It felt like that I was just trying to go farther and farther and farther.
You got like irritable,
chasing the dog, dude. Yeah, and at the end of the day, you're like
parenting's. I mean, I've not like been a parent either, but like I've had some experience with like raising a kid, I guess. But like it's. I mean, that's got to be one of the hardest things.
Oh, for sure.
Like ever, you know, like because it's like you don't want to be too like have too short of a leash for a kid, but then you don't want to give him too much freedom, and like it's just like everything is about balance. Like you know, there's just no matter what you're thinking about, it's like balance is so important.
For sure.
Because if you overindulge in anything, it's like a slippery slope. So.
Exactly, and that's the heart versus mind. That's why I like the balance, dude. Can't overindulge into your passions without being smart about it. Well, smart is all relative, but without being smart about it per se. So I just think, I mean, I don't know.
Do you want to like tell people where, like, I'm just, since we're talking about your brand, like where you can get the apparel or people can go check it out?
Yeah. So the website is www.heartversusmind.com, VS in the middle. And then the Instagram is just HRTVSMND. It's Heart Versus Mind, but without any vowels in there. So I take pride in the content that we produce, and you hear like the Gary V's of the world say, oh, you just got to keep pushing content. But to me, it's like, I want to take pride in it. I want to give people an experience when they come to the Instagram page or whatever it might be. I want them to look at the content and be like, oh, that looks professional, or, oh, that's something I'm interested in. I just want to put out a bunch of, I think a lot of people are just, they put out a bunch of bullshit, and I'm not
for sure.
I don't want to disrespect Gary V. Like, Gary V's a god.
But... I mean, dude, I love Gary V. Like when I was starting my business, I learned about Gary V. And, like that was the first time I heard about him, like maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this dude's really like motivated and determined, and he works hard, and like he writes self-help books and like has all this content where he's like encouraging people, but he's like kind of vulgar and like in your face about it, which is different. You know, I like Gary V a lot, but I mean, dude, it's just like balance, like, you know, everything, the balance and everything in moderation. Like, dude, I've like overdosed on Gary V like at multiple points in my life where I've been like, I need to upload like a lot, or I got to post to Instagram every day or multiple times a day, or like, you know, work 16 hours a day for however long, and just all that shit. Like I've tried like all of that stuff, and like it's like, you know, it just taught me that like that's not for me. Like for sure. I mean, sometimes I think, you know, even like in the future, I'm sure I'll have phases in my life where I'm just like grinding super hard,
just going in.
But like it ebbs and flows. Like if I'm always like that, I'm gonna burn out and I'm gonna hate my life. And if I'm too lazy, like likewise. So yeah, dude, I mean, balance is the fucking word of the day, because like I mean, I'm always trying to remind myself of that, because I get caught up on like overworking a lot, and then other times in the past I've been like lazy as fuck, especially when I was like in high school or even college and sometime for a while after college, like I didn't really like do that much to be like proud of. And then that's why like I got to a point where I was just like, I need to fucking work hard, like, because I felt like I had some catching up to do.
Yeah, for sure.
So I worked my ass off like for a long time, and then I got kind of overworked, I guess.
Yep, and then you need it. Then that's the balance of it. Like
Yeah.
like you, just the same damn thing. Some days I'll just be fucking like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, just binge watching Avatar. Love that shit. Best show ever.
You like? Do you watch UFC at all?
Yeah,
You like Adesanya?
I don't know.
Is there
I don't know
Adesanya?
enough about UFC to like.
His ring. He's super into like Avatar and anime and stuff. So like, you know how they do like a ring walk when they walk in, and they might have like some cool shit. He like he's a dancer too. Like it's like a hobby of his. He's like super passionate about it. But he loves anime. So like he'll do. It's kind of off topic, but sort of related.
It's all good.
But like he does like some cool ass ring walks. He'll have like actual dancers come in. It's all choreographed.
Oh,
and
like
he's doing some fucking like cartwheel fucking Avatar shit. You know,
That's
like
tight,
I don't know what it is exactly. The dude with the heart mind logo, Shane.
Yeah, Shane.
He's super into anime, and I was just talking to him about that guy and how like he knew like the name of his fucking moves like from animes. Tight. I'm like, he's like, well, technically, I don't know why he did that one because it's not even a well-known. Like that's like way like beyond.
Past for real.
I just think it looks cool.
Yeah, for real.
But yeah.
Well, I guess I'm sorry.
I'm
like a little. Yeah, too. I'm like a little kid when I gotta pee. I'm just like sitting over here. But I guess at the end of the day, the moral of this conversation might have been all over the fucking place. I'm sorry if it was, but
I thought it was good.
I think at the end of the day. Like Gucci Mane said, if you don't have the sauce, you're lost. But
also, it's not you don't fail till you give up. By the way, too. Like you have a million failures. You were talking about failure earlier. I wanted to say it's like I forget the exact saying, but it's something like, you don't fail till you like really give up.
Yeah,
like you might like success is like about failure, and like you just try things over and over again. You fail over and over again. Absolutely. Like the more you fail, the better in a way.
Yeah, just learn.
Yeah, exactly. But like if you're reaching, like for me, if I want to do music, like I could have given up a million times, but I still play music because I don't want to give up on it.
Fucking passionate. Yeah, that's the thing. Exactly. It boils down to, dude, is like the whole clothing shit. I know everybody in the world because I've done it myself, and I feel like I try to make my story relatable. I know everybody in the fucking world can start a clothing brand if they really want to.
Yeah.
But that being said, you can't fucking finish unless you're passionate about it.
Yeah, you gotta be determined. But like everybody, I always said that too. Like everybody's got like limitless potential. I mean, well, I should not in every area there are limitations, but like you have like an unlimited amount of potential. For sure. It's just you gotta like figure it out.
Yep.
But before we end the podcast, do you want to try one of these spicy peanuts?
I mean, I can. Yeah, I'm down.
I know you said you didn't want to earlier, but I figured once the cameras got rolling,
it's all good.
I could challenge you.
Cameras, I got to take the challenge. If you don't have the sauce, you're lost. If you get lost in the sauce, you're still lost.
I told myself I'm just going to offer one of these to every guest until they're gone.
That's how it goes.
You don't have to take it.
No, I'll take it, but I mean, that's the liability.
I'm going to need you to sign a waiver.
Just pass it down this direction. Oh. Okay, gang. That's spicy as fuck. That's gonna hurt.
You saw that, right? This is my second one. I've only had
today.
No.
Oh.
I just had one in my last podcast, and then
it's like lava dissolving in your mouth. Like it's like peanut butter, like really fucking good.
I didn't swallow it till just a second ago. So like that's when once you swallow, it's so much hotter. Ooh, that's hot though.
All right, cameras. I can't even act like this feels good. I gotta leave. I gotta piss.